Okay, so just look at the camera and...
Look at the camera. Okay.
I would say this is one of the more inspiring things that's happened at our school. We have got naturally very creative, lateral-minded children who will be given an inch and take a mile in the nicest possible sense, and this is one of those examples.
At the beginning of year 5, we started the den over there, and that led to a den starting over there, led to a den starting there, led to this den, led to just so much. We never thought, back then we just thought, oh, this could be a little fun thing we could do every break and then we never thought it would end up to this happening.
If it wasn't for us, none of this would be here right now.
We had a group of boys who were busy playing a game of team tag. They decided to have a base, and then that turned into a den, and then the den turned into a den in a place where I wasn't quite sure that I wanted it, down the back of some ramp. And I came in there and they all ran off in a kind of fit of, oh my gosh, the head teachers found us. And I had a chat to them and they said, we just wanted to make a den. I was like, well, that sounds a great idea. Why didn't you do that? And so we brought them back up to this end of the grounds and they built themselves a little den. And about a week later, I got a glimpse of something which I didn't really want to see. Sort of a boy being sort of marched out of the den, and some other boys with sticks. Nothing too awful happening, but it was clearly edging towards Lord of the Flies. And I thought, oh, okay, let's go and have a chat about this. And they were all kind of, oh gosh, how did that happen? How do we get to this stage? How did power corrupt us so quickly? Anyway, it turned out they had a king, King Wicket, I think his name was, and he had generals and there was a whole hierarchy underneath his king, and they decided that a couple of lads needed to be ejected and they'd been marched out. And I said, look, this is no good. We don't want to be going this way. And they were like, oh, okay. And I suggested that they sit down and write up a constitution.
Early on, when we had just started it, we had lots of problems with dictatorship. I mean, it wasn't my fault because there was no good option, so I just had to pick the worst, better option.
Yeah,
so
and then I
was making bad decisions, so a petition to get rid of me started, and I stepped down and gave my power to Reuben.
By then, the leaders were kind of like, they were kind of like, Mr. Moss had called them despotic. Like the ranks when I was leader, it was peasant, civilian, captain, commander, leader.
They got themselves a clipboard and started writing some rules and some ideas about how their little society should run. And then before you knew it, yeah, we had a whole community and then a whole society growing up with everything you might imagine from a small community, small society. So trying to resolve issues over land usage, trying to solve issues of scarce resources and how to run their community and how to fairly make decisions. Quite soon, we had a group of girls who decided to start their own den. We've got a whole area up here, slightly sort of under the trees and under the undergrowth, which can be used for den making. So the girls made their own. And immediately, fascinating differences between the two. So the girls were there sitting in a circle with no clear leadership structure, making joint decisions about how their community should run, whereas the boys had gone down the line of a very significant hierarchy, but a more democratic version of it than the King Wicket days, where they're having group votes and voting in a new leader every 2 weeks and coming up with all sorts of rules and regulations. Anyway, fascinating, these two different genders going about it in a wholly different way.
We had meetings. We used to sit in a circle or stand in a circle, and we used to make decisions together.
We do it here where nobody is the leader. Everybody just there's no higher people or lower people, because that's some people will find that unfair.
So there's always been meetings since I've joined the girls, and that was at the start. And it'll be the representatives would call a meeting. So there's no hierarchy. It's just a few people would call a meeting if they wanted to talk about something. And there was something we did which we don't do anymore. We'd vote if people could be in or not. But then we stopped that and we just said, hold on, everyone could be in, in jail.
Since then, it's just grown. So you now have, I don't know, anywhere between 50 and 100 children in this area. The playground is emptied out. It has become their mini society. And at this point, the girls and the boys have all mashed together, so the structures have changed all over again. It's become very creative, making shops and counselling rooms and chanting clubs and pizzerias and cash registers and their own currency. We've had several different religious cults that have come through the place.
We also started Bobism.
Oh, Bobism.
Yeah, which is a religion.
We just went crazy, to be honest. And we started donations.
Yeah, we didn't know who we worshipped.
And then when we got like loads of donations, I just started chucking money in the air and went crazy. And then I got banned.
Yeah, we didn't know who we were worshipping. We just kind of went in and
then we
prayed
worshipped Backspace.
Backspace, the keyboard button, Backspace.
Yeah, Backspace dies.
So,
yeah.
We've had different political structures. We've had legal documents being passed backwards and forwards between groups, arguing over land usage and whose land it was and whose it wasn't. We've had children creating their own banks because they've decided that the currency could be leaves. I step in once in a while and said, no, not to the leaves. Poor trees, let's not use leaves. So they now use bark. But then very quickly they decided, well, okay, but where are we going to store our money? So they've created little banks to create of large piles of bark and kept secure. They had security guards, then they had a police force, and they sacked the police force. It's a wonderfully progressive thing going on beyond the prying eyes of adults. Don't get me wrong, I do pop up here and they welcome me in, I do keep an eye on things, but they're making the decisions.
We made like restaurants now and like clothing shops and like hangout bits.
They enjoy selling clothes and scrap like fashion. We enjoy the food, they enjoy the food, they enjoy just scraps, and they enjoy making music.
for people who find it overwhelming, get really easily overwhelmed, who are neurodivergent, I am actually neurodivergent. It's really a good spot. That's why I made this place, because I knew by remove, we're kind of being interviewed right now. So it's kind of like, they're not just neurodivergent. Anybody who finds it overwhelming can just come and relax and like need a minute to calm down, they go to the school. But that's why I had this idea, because then there's a spot here for people as well. So yeah.
And it's now welcoming children from Key Stage 1, so we've got Year 1, Year 2 children coming in and providing, supplying some of the shops with woodwork and stuff like that, and they're chipping away at it. It's become a whole heaving mass of a society, and it's all coming from the children.
I actually took inspiration from how real shops work, because the person making it then sells it to the shop and gets money from it, and then the shop sells it. Yes, they're basically just supplying.
It was deeply inspiring. I think we are in the habit as adults of underestimating children. I know you can take that too far. Obviously, children do need our guidance, they do need our instruction, but you lose so much by not letting go of the reins sometimes and giving them some freedom. They're much better at divergent thinking. We find this when we do philosophy for children. Their thinking is just as deep and just as interesting as ours, and in some ways they're not so blinkered, they're not so set in their ways.
I've been to lots of different schools. In the playtimes it would just be like, you just do your own thing, you'd go off into different groups. It would never be like you all come together as one big group in your year group and all work together to do something. Like, I've never really had that before.
It is fascinating what children can achieve when you give them that little bit of freedom and let them go. They are quite capable of moderating themselves. I've got children in here whose behaviour on the playground can be challenging for staff, and we have had issues, and somehow in this environment, in the thick of all their peers and in this little community, they're managing their behaviour much better than they would be in a kind of more traditional sort of playground situation.
Do you imagine that any other schools are doing this sort of thing in their playtime?
No. I bet they're playing Duck Duck Goose. They're definitely not doing this, I'd say. And we're very lucky with like Mr. Moss letting us and everybody kind of like fixing things out themselves. It's like imagining what you do when you're older. It's like this is the country. We have like shops, restaurants, and you can choose what you want to do. You get your pay for it, and then it's kind of how to deal with things when you're older.
It's not perfect. They do come across problems. They do ask me in sometimes to navigate certain issues. We had a problem with exclusion, some children not being allowed in, and I said, look, blanket rule, inclusion. They've all gone for that. It does mean there's an awful lot of children in here now, but they're making it work. I just get inspired when I come up and see them at it.